Welcome back, everyone, to Too Much Popcorn, the movie review podcast where Jimmy and I watch a movie and then we sit down and we talk about it. We talk about the things that we liked, the things that we didn't like, the highs, the lows, the peaks, the valleys, the Tom Cruise falling out of planes from a peak into a valley.
Oh, there he goes.
Oh, yeah. And then ultimately we come down to a decision on if we think that you, the viewers, or the listeners perhaps, should watch that movie. And we don't score it with a number or a letter because that's just too hard to figure out, because some people will rate things a 7 and that means something completely different. Sometimes a 5 is great, sometimes it's middle of the road. Who knows?
7 out of 5.
Yes, and that's what we're rating this today, 7 out of 5. No, we're just going to tell you plain and simple. You know, there might be things that we hated about this movie, but hey, watch it, or vice versa. Ultimately, we just want to tell you, should you watch this? And this week, we watched the hit 2025 seminal film, Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. That's right.
I thought you forgot the title.
Almost. Yeah, we watched Mission Impossible. It's one of those movies with Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames, Haley Atwell, a little-known actor. Well, what's his name? He's up and coming. Tom Cruise.
Gosh, I feel like he's just... Oh, yeah, Tom Cruise.
I've seen him in more and more things these days. I hope he continues.
Yeah, he was in some, like, billiards movie I thought was pretty good.
Yeah. I hope he continues making movies, because that guy... That's
Stellar actor, I think.
God, what if we did...
He does the damn thing.
Did we do that same joke at the beginning of Top Gun?
No way.
No way.
Rewind the tapes.
Yeah, we're not going to.
Yeah. He's in it.
Anyway, Jimmy, what'd you think? What'd you think of this movie?
What did I think, Aaron?
Yeah.
Initial thoughts, first blush. We just watched it. Exited the theater. Putting the keys in the car. Aaron, wow, final reckoning. It was sure final, and there was a reckoning to be had indeed. What else could be said? I don't know. It's one of those, big, it does feel like a, culmination of the Mission Impossible franchise. The Dead Reckoning Part 1 ended with such a cliffhanger. And this was, I don't even know when we watched Dead Reckoning Part 1, I guess the Final Reckoning is Dead Reckoning Part 2.
Yeah.
I think the major issue that I had with the movie is that it starts with such a long preamble of getting you hyped for the rest of the movie. And I personally I take umbrage with a film that decides that it has to be like, hey, so there was a movie... You might have seen it. You might not have. Sit down. We got to tell you a little story and get you, immersed in the narrative of this movie. And personally, I think maybe you can try to pull that off in a film. Maybe you could try to pull it off in this one. I was really button heads with this movie for a good 35, 40 minutes. I don't even know the length of me being like, if I were in a theater watching this, I think I would be stress eating my popcorn and sucking down 2 liters of soda somewhere, because I'd be like, can I sit through 3 hours of this at this pace right now? It was a time. And I mean, that's just again condensing the beginning of this film. I think we could probably break this film down into 3 sections about how we talk about it, if that feels good to you.
Yeah, no, and I think you've picked a wonderful place for us to start. Obviously, the start of the movie, because we both kind of had that same visceral reaction where people were like saying things to each other, like the dialogue was off, the action and timing was off on things, and both you and I were just like, oh, what is happening? Like we'd both seen literally every other Mission Impossible movie ever, and we got into this one and it
That we
started
know
going and it that we know of. And it just started going and we were kind of like, did they decide to just completely change the formula? Like, what is happening? And yeah, I don't know what it was, because imagine all of the pacing for every other movie. Like, every movie ties together in the way that it all feels the same. All the characters have the same kind of chemistry with each other. The dialogue patterns, even between like villains and heroes, is the same. Like, everything has a feel to it that makes it Mission Impossible. And this was like, they might have just started the movie and they were kind of like, yeah, we're just going to ad lib everything because the script's not done yet. Was this during the writer's strike? Is that what it was?
Maybe it had a case of the writer's strike.
Yeah, it might have been during the writer's strike, and they were kind of just like, yeah, we're just going to wing it. If we don't write anything down, they can't sue us. And so, like, Tom Cruise, bless his heart, like, he was saying things to Haley Atwell where he was like, don't worry, it's only pain. But it was the way that he was saying it where it was just like, oh, this doesn't feel right coming from this character.
You're right. Okay, 2 sequences that stood out as like poorly executed, really time, not even like waste of time, but like what is happening in the time of these sequences does not physically make sense. The first one is they're in the hallway. Tom Cruise is standing between, Paris and this person she's trying to kill because she's like trying to escape this jail. And he says, wait, like 30 times. He says, wait to her. He says, wait to him. He's saying, wait. You wait and we wait. And we're all waiting. And then Simon Pegg comes in and says, you have to wait for this. And that sequence alone was like, so I'm like, not only did they do the mask gag to basically like no effect, it was like so rote of like it's Mission Impossible, we could just do this and it's fine. The last time they had done it, I felt like was even referenced in the movie when he's doing the, he unmasks as the assistant is Tom Cruise and then remasks as Kittredge in that sequence from 2 movies ago even. I don't even remember which one. But that was like, there's a mask sequence. This one, they're just like, yeah, it's a throwaway gag. It's a Mission Impossible movie. They're just doing it because they can. And you're like, okay, whatever. Second one, like you mentioned, he's with Haley Atwell and they're like, sometimes pain is, whatever. And then he does the thing where they're leaving and he's like, is he like dueling with his own? Is it Tom Cruise and Haley Atwell is the surrogate of the people rating the film as like R versus PG-13? And he's like, I had to kill him. They were gonna kill you. Like, what was happening in that sequence made no sense. They were
face to face. They were face to face and like talking with each other. He had just killed like 2 people off screen, which again was super weird because like
very
they
bizarre.
Beat the shit out of other people and killed them, and so it was weird that they were like, we're gonna kill these people off screen. And then he's like face to face with Haley Atwell, and he's like, I had to do it. I had to kill him. And she's like, uh-huh. And he's like, no, I had to do it. You don't understand. I had to do it. And she's like, oh, okay. And he's like, no, but like I had to kill him. And then she was like, mm-hmm, yeah. And then like he's like,
and again,
no, but
this
like
is within like 20 minutes of the movie starting. You're just sort of like, I fully expected them to be looking at each other and then like look at the camera like, we had to do it. And you're like,
we had to kill him.
What movie is this? Are we Dude, Where's My Car? Where have we transported where this is the caliber of what we're getting from Mission Impossible? It just felt so wrong. I just couldn't. The closest thing that I could like parallel it to was the beginning sequences of the second Knives Out movie, where it was like they, it's like they're fully referencing COVID in that one, and they're just like, we're gonna really lean into how bad everything is. And this one doesn't do that, but it's like it felt the same into the outcome of like, well, we gotta start the movie now. So but
Yeah.
before, and it's like, no, 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 we already have sat down and we're watching this, and we have it up on our screen, and we're watching this movie, and you're telling us now that you're starting the movie because you were doing what was all this other preamble bullshit that we had to sit through?
Yeah, because, like, bless their hearts, like, they, do have to kind of recap the other movies and especially the previous one before it, which I would argue it totally didn't have to recap the previous movie before it. Either go watch it or don't. And, like, if you go into it and you don't understand it, that shouldn't be their fault. You didn't do
I'm
the
telling
homework.
you right now, you cut 40 minutes off this movie with we have the key. We need to go to Vladivostok and put it in this thing and get the thing. And you're just like, we're set. We're on the trajectory. The missile's fired. We're ready to go. But they're like,
Yeah.
actually, let's take it back a little bit. Remember the first movie where he dropped the knife in the black site of Pentagon? And you're like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, it's a great movie, but, like, does this relevant at all? And you're like, well, maybe it will be. It's just like, come on, dude. The amount of, like, again, there's and I think this comes down to the director, like, McQuarrie, like, again, there's a reverence for the previous films and, like, the story of Ethan and his team and all this sort of stuff that is definitely like, oh, like, this is our gospel. Like, we have to pay homage to it in this way. And I'm like, by literally replaying the sequences of the film that are memorable and good and cool, but you've just put them back in this movie to no effect. At all.
And so I think that's another point too, is like, so the first 5 minutes was like the AI talking and then people like talking about the AI. And, they're setting up like, okay, the AI is the villain. Remember that from the other movie? And it's like, cool, I'll give you guys that. That's fine. And then if you want to do the recaps with the, like flashbacks and stuff, do that too. But again, make that 15 minutes. Tie Ethan to a chair, have somebody interrogating him, and every time they like punch him, it's a flashback to a previous movie. Boom. That would have been great. That would have worked really well. Get 15 minutes of that, all the flashbacks you need, and then move on.
You get a punch to it.
And then with that too, they did the other thing that like irritates me when people do flashbacks, and it's when they do a flashback in a flashback, but the flashback that they went back to isn't chronological to what it should be.
I almost think you got a little lost in the sauce of flashbacks.
I did.
Which I don't blame you for, because you were saying they were in a flashback, and I'm like, I think what's happening is right, like, now. And I think you were like, we're back somewhere. But it was because it kept cutting back to Simon Pegg saying something like, oh, well, we got to do this. And then they're doing a thing that was the present, but felt weird, and everything looked different, and people were together that didn't make sense that they were together. I agree it was confusing.
Yeah, they were like in a flashback, and then they set up a flashback, and then they went to the actual present where they were getting Palm, and that I thought was still a flashback, and I was like, oh, cool, they're setting up how they're getting the team.
But they were there. Like that was the present, but it felt weird. That was weird.
And like, I feel bad because, like, I'm going to toot my own horn. I usually do pretty good with, like, tracking flashbacks within flashbacks. And I'm usually like, oh, cool, I get where we're at.
Better than me, I will say that.
But this was one where I was just like, yo, I'm lost. And honestly, if they had just put, like, a little date down in the corner, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I would have been way better with it. And it would have worked a lot better.
Just like a little year marker.
Yeah. Yeah. Something to just kind of give us a little heads up, or like Simon Pegg punches someone who's like, yeah, Simon Pegg punches somebody who's like, and it's Saturday, like
Saturday the 24th,
and you're like, oh, cool, Saturday the 24th,
sweet, excellent, amazing.
Yeah. And so like all of the flashbacks they were doing with getting things set up already felt disjointed, and so that was ruining my enjoyment for the movie. And then the way they were trying to like recap the first several movies was just like, okay, yeah, we've had too much of this. And I think it was by the point we got to the actual movie itself, you said, okay, now we're in the movie and the movie can start. And I looked down at the clock and I clocked it. We were at 35 minutes.
Okay, it was 35.
Yeah.
I had a
It was
feeling
30.
it
Yeah.
felt like 35, which is a whole episode of a TV show. I'm just saying right now. That's a TV show you release as sort of like a pre-trailer. I don't know. Don't put it in the movie. The movie didn't
didn't
start
really
for
need to be
35
there.
minutes.
Yeah. And I'm going to go back to what I said too, where like, I don't think it needed to explain the previous movie. It can recap the other movies because, sure, it's been a while since I've seen the first one and the
legacy,
second
of
one and the
course.
third one. Yeah. Ghost Protocol I watched, just last month because it's amazing, but all the other ones. But yeah, the previous one, it's like, if you're going into a movie that literally says it's part 2, like if you're going into Dune part 2 and you're like, hey, who are those floaty guys? What's going on here?
What's Paul Atreides doing here?
Yeah, that's kind of on you for not watching the previous one. And so like, I get where movies are coming from, where they want to like make it accessible to anybody to go see it at any point, but like, I think it should just be an acceptable thing where it's like, if you didn't watch the previous one, you can enjoy this one. There's still great things in it, but don't expect to be spoon-fed all
I
the
think
answers.
sequels and stuff used to do that though. Like there used to be, I feel like, am I thinking of like Matrix 2 that just like drops you in and is just like an onslaught of deluge of information and action and like all this sort of stuff, and it's like, if you didn't watch the first one, it's honestly fine. Like, I think Aaron literally would say, don't watch the first one and just skip to Matrix 2. And like, I feel like this movie, and again, it might even apply, like you're saying, to like the larger sequel fanaticism that like these type of movies have, is it's like they're so devoted to telling you that there's like another story that has already happened. But I think we also live in an age where there is so much information available to us at all times. If you really go into a movie and are confused, then like you stop the movie and you like look it up, or you pre-research the like, if you're really into wanting to understand it, you like go and look up what you're like, what do I need to know? Hey, ChatGPT, ask a fucking stupid AI bot to tell you the synopsis. And then if it tells you, that's the thing, it'll tell you all this stuff, but it won't tell you what we're going to tell you, where it's still, the movie will tell you for 35 minutes what happened and give you sequences that make no sense. So what I'm trying to say is like, I feel like you have to give it the caveat if you're asking Google or, whatever. Like, will this movie, do I need to watch previous movies, or will this movie make me sit down for 35 minutes and do it? And then it goes, oh yeah, for 35 minutes in the beginning of Final Reckoning, you're going to get a lot of fucking shots of shit that doesn't make sense. But it doesn't mean that you need to watch Missions Impossible 1 through 7 to, understand it all. It'll pretty much sum it up for you if you're really on the edge of understanding. Hope that helps.
Because of anything, if you haven't seen those movies, the little flashbacks aren't going to help you. You're going to see it and you're going to be like, why was Superman there?
It will literally be a deluge of completely inane information. Tom Cruise sitting on the edge of a cliff. Tom Cruise floating down a laser hallway. Oh, what's he doing there? The context of the movies is within the movies. You have to go. If you want the context, it's there, sitting there for you.
And you bring up a great point too. Like, when I watched The Walking Dead originally, I watched seasons 1 through 3, and then I couldn't take it anymore, so I took a long pause until they got good again. And I was like, I'm going to pick this up again. I didn't watch seasons 1 through 3 again. I went to YouTube and I said, seasons 1 through 3 recap. And then it recapped it for me, and then I went into it and I went,
people are doing this for us. The age of information that we live in, people know that there's going to be like, there's thousands episodes of One Piece, and you're starting at episode 1? Maybe not. Here's a setup for season 1,
Yeah. And if I saw, a trailer where Tom Cruise is flying 2 planes and he's jumping between them, and I said, I want to go see that movie, but I haven't seen the other 6 of these movies, I'm going to get on YouTube and I'm going to go, Mission Impossible recap, and then it's going to recap it for me, and I'm going to go, oh, cool. You know,
You're just explaining like the landscape of how much deluge of information and the entertainment landscape of, well, you know, maybe you missed the last 6 Saw films, but they're making a new one. So do you want to know all the other ones? You don't have to watch them. They torture people and people die, and that's the movies. You know, I think the bar is so low. It's a Mission Impossible movie. They're gonna do spy stuff.
Well, and I'm going to actually wrap this into that pet peeve that we've talked about before in movies, where movies feel like they have to explain in-universe stuff to us, the audience, so that we get it. And you, like, how many times have you heard me say, I hate it? I don't need to know that this is unobtainium, and Sigourney Weaver doesn't need to know that this is unobtainium, James Cameron. She knows what it is. She's smart. And same with this. If I have to sit in your movie and see Tom Cruise on the edge of a cliff and have to say, like, oh, why is he doing that? And not remember it from Mission Impossible Fallout when he, you know, knocks Superman off the cliff.
When he falls out of a plane and helicopter onto a cliff.
Yeah, like, it should be, again, on either the universe to set it up perfectly so that I don't have to understand what's going on and need a flashback, or give me enough context, or just have it on me, the viewer, to do the work beforehand.
I also think it's a disservice of us for our listeners, maybe just us in general, since we are our own listeners of our own podcast. The previous series of films we did are the most disjointed, non-connective tissue Evangelion rebuilds that literally ratchet information gathering into, like, the, you know, they push it to the furthest edges of the film, where they're like, if we reveal anything about what's going on right now, you're going to leave the theater, so we need to stop telling you things. Whereas this movie's like, if we don't tell you who Ving Rhames is and what he's done 18 times so that you know that when he's tinkering with a little bomb, that something's gonna happen because of that, then we've done the wrong, you know, we've told the wrong story some way. And I think it does just come down to, like, a mistrust of the audience in general. Just like, oh, we just can't get into the meat of a Mission Impossible movie without 35 minutes of really throwing a loop and just confusing the shit out of our audience by just referencing so many things that were in the past. And don't worry, we're going to reference even more in the past when those characters and relevant events happen later too. We're going to do it there. You're going to see an old guy from the first movie. He's old now. He's got a beard. Wow, look at that. Do you know what he looked like before? There's the clip of him from the first movie. Thanks, Brian De Palma. Yeah, like, I just don't... You're doing it there. You've already done it at the future part in the movie. But now we've already spent 35 minutes being like... It felt like... Sarah and I have been watching Bad Show, Veronica Mars, from like 2000s. Terrible, terrible show. What it does before each episode is the, like, previously on. And a lot of shows do this. The previously on is always explicitly relevant to the newest episode that you're watching. And it pulls random shit. You're like, hey, remember when Logan played hockey one time? And you're like, how is this relevant? And it's like, oh, the hockey murderer, you know, like something like that. And this movie did that, where it was like, previously on, here's all the relevant bits that you need to know about 6 Mission Impossible movies. And it's like, yeah, but there's 3 in there you didn't, like, show footage of at all. Nah, it's fine. All you really need to know is Philip Seymour Hoffman's here, which gives us a lot of credibility. And, you know, that was the one movie that we actually referenced the most in this movie.
Worse is when, like, a movie tries to do this too, but they've changed properties within that time. And so they're trying to do, like, a previous Leon, and they're like, oh, hey, remember this movie? We can't show you anything from it because we don't own any of those rights anymore. But just remember, this happened there.
I'm having a flashback. Did they do this in Netflix where they like redid a Will Byers thing in the last season, and there was like some new Will Byers
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
actor
yeah.
playing like young Will, and he's like, oh, the worms are going in me, oh no. And I'm like, is
Yeah,
this
they
new footage? This wasn't. And it's like, yeah, we just shot new shit because the kids got too old. And I was like, cool, love that.
yeah.
Love that for me.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think, but I've seen a movie before where they were like, "Hey, remember this happened, but that was on a different property, so don't worry about that."
I feel like
Like, I think
Spider-Man had the problems. Spider-Man,
Or the
like all
Wolverine.
the Spider-Mans with all the Sony versus Marvel shit was just like, remember Spider-Man?
In fact, it was one of the Wolverine movies. I think it's Days of Future Past,
No,
where
no.
he's like having a flashback to a time he was in the tank, but they couldn't use the tank because it was Fox like footage.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so they had to like reshoot it, and you're watching and you're like, I know this is different. Like, I've seen these enough.
I know this back to tank. I know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it did feel like at least the cohesion of the films, what they're showing you, maybe they're the ones that they still have the rights for. But regardless, they made the ones relevant that they felt. So I guess that's one caveat to being shown a deluge of old clips of movies and stuff. It didn't feel good. And I think
Yeah.
starting the movie off, making me feel like I don't trust any of these characters. I've specifically been fed information from the movie to not trust anyone. This entity, the main AI enemy of the film, can be anyone, tell you anything, take on the president's visage. I think that's the problem too, is you're like, who do I trust? I can't trust anyone in the movie because the movie told me not to. And then everyone's acting weird. Specifically, Tom Cruise as Ethan is acting like a different guy. He
Yeah.
just the like, I gotta go. Oh, what?
Yeah.
Wait.
I'm gonna make this list of all these things that we need for this movie, like 2 old biplanes.
I just didn't. I think the movie told me not to trust anyone, and I took that as like a truth. I said, okay.
Which is interesting that you bring that up, because especially the first one, which this one references probably more than any of the other movies. The first one, the like main thing I remember from that movie is how much it emphasized don't trust anybody. At any point, somebody can rip off their face, and it was a mask the whole time. That was done easily like 13 times in that first movie alone. And by the end of it, you're like, I'm looking at Tom Cruise. I don't trust that that's Tom Cruise. He is Tom Cruise now. I don't trust that's Tom Cruise. And then you're like out of it, and you're like, you're my mom, but I don't trust you. You're gonna pull your face off right now. Like,
where's the seam
then,
on the mask, Mom?
And so then it's interesting that like it, tries to do that again with this one, where it's like, it's this AI and it can be anybody. So don't trust anybody. And I think the part 1 of the movie did that really well, where it was like, hey, it's making a phone call and it's saying it's Simon Pegg, but then Simon Pegg's right next to you and he's saying, don't trust it, it's not me. But you're like, oh, I'm talking to you right now, Simon Pegg. What are you talking about? You must be the fake. And they like talked about that a little bit in this one, but then they just didn't really capitalize on that, where like the president calls up Tom Cruise and then is like, hey, meet up with me. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah.
With the AI visual, specifically
Yeah.
the entity visual that we were like given as
Yeah.
the president speaking, which I was like, so I don't trust the message, or I'm not supposed to because Tom Cruise doesn't trust the message. And so
It's
think
hard.
that it added to my, not necessarily confusion, but like mistrust of the film's information, where I was
Yeah.
going, it's telling me, and I believe it. The Dead Reckoning Part 1, there's lots of moments where the AI, is a step ahead. It does a thing. And I'm like, okay, this like, it feels really good in that movie because it does feel like a cat and mouse. and you're like, they're constantly getting defeated, and there's that huge train sequence, which again is phenomenal in that movie. I love that movie. But the fact that it has to like reiterate that without it does the telling without any showing, because it's like we're in a new movie. I have all the knowledge from Dead Reckoning, so I know that it's doing these things. But because it's the different movie, I'm like, well, what's it going to do now? It's going to tell you not to trust anyone. And I'm like, but it hasn't done anything.
Yeah, and I think I wanted this movie to like up that ante from the first one, where like it was, you know, playing as different characters, and it was saying like, hey, go here, and then Tom Cruise would go there, and there's nobody there. And I wanted more of that, and especially when he like interfaced with it in Dracula's coffin.
Into the dark universe where we entered the second half of this movie.
Which is going to be the second half of this podcast. We're going to break down the whole dark universe.
Dark universe that we find ourselves in the second half of this film.
But, you know, so he integrates with the AI, and then like the AI gives him all these visuals, and then he comes out and he's like, what's real? What's real? And I was expecting like, oh, cool. This AI did a thing where like now Tom Cruise can't trust what's real. He's going to start doing one plan thinking that it's his plan, but it's actually what the AI wanted him to do all along. Like they could have gotten so like fourth dimension with this.
Cerebral.
Yeah. Oh man, they could have done some like, you know, he's looking at somebody wearing a digital mask and the digital mask is making him think one thing and it's actually a different thing. They could have gotten so crazy with it. And then they just didn't capitalize on it. And they didn't go one way or the other. I expected it to be like way into the cyber stuff or like almost I'm not pulling that movie. But one of those movies where like they go away from the cyber stuff because they can't trust it, and then you know they're building bows and arrows and like yeah,
some like Horizon Zero Dawn shit or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. And they didn't go one way or the other with that. They were just kind of like, we're doing the same thing again.
Yeah, I'll take that thought a step further in that when he enters the dark universe, a la the Dracula's coffin, and he puts on the mask and everything, I think that sequence did a really bad job of explaining what it was doing to Tom Cruise. It was like it locked him in a thing and it was shocking him and showing him this imagery. But none of that, which we are also being subjected to, is tricking me into perceiving a different reality. I'm seeing visions of the future, of a possible future, of the worst, the darkest universe of the future. and Tom Cruise is seeing these things as well and being shocked, and you know I'm not being shocked at the same time, which is great. I just get to watch the things that he's seeing, and I don't have to witness any of the pain or suffering of it. He comes out of there, he says what's real? I don't know what's real. Is this are you real? And I'm like, he's out of it. Like he's out of the mask. There's no connection to what was there before. I would have loved to see maybe they like implant or like they give him like a you know what's the, like a contact lens or something that like connects him to the AI, or you know the cerebral turn of tricking the world's best spy, Ethan, into doing something crazy. Like really tonally shifting like what he's planning to do, because his plan did not change from what I could tell. He had the cruciform key. He was going to go to the bottom of the Arctic Ocean and locate the key hole and get the thing and stop the evil entity, because he had the source code that he could inject it with a virus and, you know, make it stupid. I knew that from Dead Reckoning. That was already the plan. He gets all this information from the dark universe, and it doesn't change the plan. So what's the point of the dark coffin? I just don't get it.
I even expected like something along the lines of like, he knows that the AI has this plan and that the AI can plan for everything, and it can do a plan within a plan within a plan. And like that's his thing too. Like, and it has been for every movie where he's like, okay, we got this crazy plan and it's gonna go like this and it's gonna go exactly to plan and everything works. And even when it goes crazy, it's gonna work. And like he's the plans guy. He always has a plan. And so I kind of thought like he comes out of the coffin and he starts, spouting mumbo jumbo about like, we need this, we need this, we need 2 biplanes. And I was expecting the whole rest of the movie for him to just like be completely winging it. Like, he starts running to the right, boom, takes a left. And they're like, Ethan, what are you doing? And he's like, we can't, do anything out of the ordinary, or we have to do everything out of the ordinary. If it seems like it's going to be out of the ordinary, that's in the ordinary. We can't do that anymore.
Shoes on my head.
I just wanted to see like a complete devolving into madness.
I gotta be barefoot the whole time now. It thought I was gonna be wearing shoes.
But it would think that I would want to be barefoot because it thinks that I want it to be barefoot. And it thinks I think I want to be barefoot. So therefore I do have to wear shoes.
Just aqua socks. Yeah, like I don't... The sequence following, the whole movie following does not coincide with like being shown a different reality. I just didn't get it.
And then the kicker on all this is like he's doing all this stuff that's like completely batshit insane. Like at one point he's wearing like an inflatable T-Rex
He does
costume.
full on like Wile E. Coyote, like that TNT's in my butt.
Yeah. But then after the end of the movie, after he defeats the AI, he puts the thing in the USB drive. The AI dies. He pulls out that piece of paper from the beginning of the movie. He opens it up, and everything that he's done through the movie was on that piece of paper. It was his plan all along.
And he was like, nothing can beat traditional media.
Ethan Hunt. Go see movies.
It says go see the movie as the last line.
Yeah. Oh, better yet, he fucking midway through the movie stops, watches a trailer for the movie.
No. He flies the burning wreckage of the airplane through a TV, a screen. Someone's watching a movie outside, and he's like, "Watch this movie!" And he goes through the whole screen.
Busts through the movie theater screen, crashes into Hitler. Boom, he's in Inglourious Bastards.
I think we wanted was just a lot more references to other movies.
Yeah.
Which wasn't going to happen. We never expected it to happen. We just... The Dark Universe coffin was such a turn that we were like, what could possibly happen in this? I think that's the thing, is we both had the same idea. We were like, what could possibly... I think we've watched too much Futurama, or, the infinite recursive reality machine of, I don't even want to say like Rick and Morty or something, like
yeah.
The amount of crazy shit that exists in the entertainment landscape is like, if you have an exceedingly self-learning, intelligent, AI that is built on lies and taking over the government, like every world government's nuclear arms, and you interface with it. Also, I don't know
how. It's
online, I guess, in the mask. Regardless, it's feeding you its information, and it wants you to do what it thinks you will do to make it agree, follow its plan.
Yeah.
And you go and you write all of its stuff down, and it includes SOSUS and all this sort of stuff. And then the movie continues, but then it feels just like a regular Mission Impossible movie. I'm going, where did the Dark Universe coffin come in and change anything about the formula? I don't know if I was expecting something that wasn't ever going to happen, because it just felt weird.
I think that was a good portion of most of this movie, was it felt like they were going to do something completely separate from what actually happened. And I think part of that might honestly be on Tom Cruise. I'm going to put the blame on him because like how often have we watched Tom Cruise movies where we're like, how can this get any fucking nuttier? And then he's like, boys, watch this. And then he does it. And then we're like,
He
oh,
winks at the camera.
and says, Aaron and Jimmy, this one's for you.
and we're eating our popcorn. I'm eating 6 buckets of popcorn. I'm like, oh my fucking god, he's done it again.
He's doing it again.
Oh, Tommy boy.
Yeah. And so, yeah, when this one went almost ironically exactly to script, it was kind of just like, oh, interesting. Interesting that the thing that you would expect to happen did happen, and that's what they were saying you would not expect to have happen. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's why it was a little confusing. Because we were in the mindset of a Tom Cruise. And that's the thing. There's a funny glitch with this movie existing, being produced by Tom Cruise, and then starring Tom Cruise, where it goes, produced by Tom Cruise. His name's huge. And then out of that comes Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
And I'm like, we just saw. He was just here.
We know he's in it.
That was producer Tom Cruise. This is actor Tom Cruise.
Yeah, they're two different people.
They're two different people. One of them has a lot of money, and one of them does plane stunts.
Yeah. Let's take a break.
Let's take a quick break, get those sweet, sweet ads.
Yeah. Well, we're back from our break. We took a casual biplane ride where we switched biplanes right in the middle of our ride. And, you know, it was just a casual thing that we do.
Pretty cash. Pretty good cash thing.
Yeah. Getting back to it, let's see. I also want to talk about just the concept of the AI in general as the villain. Because, like, I get what they're doing. You know, for all of cinema history, as long as they do some kind of spy film, there's the good guy, which is obviously the spy's home country, whether it's Britain or America, and then there's the enemy nation. And you know, the past couple movies have tried to be this like rogue nation that doesn't have a nation, and then they're like, oh, okay, that's still too divisive, so we gotta make it this AI nation. Cool, that's not my problem. I don't care about that. My problem is the concept of AI as a enemy in general, because it just seemed at so many points that it was just like, oh, the solution is turn off the internet, and everybody's like, we can't do that, and it was like, but why? Or, you know, it was like, oh god, the AI's plan is to launch all the nukes, what are we gonna do? And it's like, anything as like a manual operation that the AI can't control. Let's see, you could disarm them. You could just take out all the gas so that they can't fly. Like, just keep the doors closed. Like, there were so many things where it was just like, okay, the solution is something outside of the AI's control. And then they were like, no, but like the AI, it knows that, and so it will do something. And it's like, yeah, but if you take an axe to a computer, the computer's not going to be able to do anything to me about it.
I think it's weird because it does come from like the interpretation of a modern society being like, we're so reliant on computers. Silicon Valley has changed the landscape of even how we pump our gas. A computer does it now. And it's like, no. If you want to fill your gas tank up, if you're in a state where you can do it yourself, self-pump, you have to do it. There's no robot arm coming down and doing it for you. And there's no robot arm coming down and fueling up the ICBM.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
Don't bring the gas to work that day.
And so I think I was missing a scene in this 35-minute thing where like somebody at the ICBM launch site gets an email that says like, hey Bill, it's time to fuel up those ICBMs. You're superior. Love, you're superior. And then they email back like, okay, we're not going to launch these or anything, right? This is just like a test exercise to make sure we're like, you know, doing everything ship shape. And then it's the AI emailing back, yep, you got it. Exactly. Test fueling. Boop. But there was no, I think that's the like extra logical step that the movie wants you to take. It's like,
yeah,
no one trusts each other. Everyone's getting emails from their boss's boss. and their bosses are all getting emails, and all those emails are saying, "Prep the nukes." And
And
that
see,
email says, "From Vladimir Putin. Love, Putin." You
and
know?
see,
And
I,
every country says that. And so every
I,
country's getting the email, everybody's Outlook's saying, "Hey, Vladimir Putin, president, the president in this movie is a lady." Angela Bassett. She's
yeah,
saying, "Hey, prep the nukes. But remember, U.S.'s security is the top best in the world," or whatever. So we were the last to be hit and taken over. But what does that look like exactly? And that's where it fails too. The wall just offline. I'm like, you're in the place that would be hacked. So
yeah,
what does that mean? Because are people's computers blue screening? Are people getting emails that are saying the president is up in that room behind you? Do you see them? That's me. I'm the president. And I'm emailing you and telling you to email all the black sites at the area and to fuel up them ICBM, like there is a complete breakdown of a failure to communicate what this breakdown of reality is. And I
yeah.
think there's just a little bit of a concept that is too big to show, because it does feel like, oh, the whole world has to become a part of the entity. Even the US becoming a part of the entity is shown at some point. They just show it on the map. It was a US flag and now it's an entity butthole. And I didn't see it. I didn't see what that meant. And I don't think they physically could, because they didn't in the movie, from what I could see.
And see, I think that's why the whole concept of this AI being the villain is so tough, is because, for as crazy as it seems that it's like, okay, well, the AI can just, imitate anybody. It's like, no, you just put two physical people in a room together and boom, you tell them like, "Hi, I'm the president of America." "Oh, hi, I'm the president of Russia."
Who are
"Okay,
you?
cool.
You
We're
couldn't
not gonna
possibly be the president of America.
Yeah, it's like, there's your solution. Just get everybody into a room together and say, "Hey, until this is done, we're not launching any nukes. We're not doing anything." And then it's like, "Oh, but it can take control of everything." "Okay, cool. Did we take the gas out of all the rockets?" "Yes." "Cool. Those aren't going anywhere." Like, that's just, I don't know. And so then, like, this would work great with Mission Impossible, right? Is then you have this room full of people who are saying like, "Hi, I'm the president of America. Hi, I'm the president of Russia." Boom, somebody rips off a mask. "I'm the president of Russia." "JK, no, I wasn't. I'm a spy, and I still want to launch these nukes." Then it's great. Then it's back to being a spy thriller and good old fashioned Mission Impossible 1, spies versus spies. Like, I think that would have added some tension. And that's also something I wanted to see, was like, just again, some more classic, just like rip off the mask. You can't trust anybody, whether in the cyberspace or in person.
You know what? I agree. I want that. And I'm sad that didn't happen. The additional problem that I'm seeing had happened during the film was they kept saying, like, the entity sympathizers were like
Yeah.
everywhere. They're already in every level of blah, blah, blah. And you see it happen. They attack Ethan. They attack, everybody. But they're just like pulling out guns and like trying to attack people. They're not like doing anything spy. They're just like, we're already here. We
Yeah.
like the entity. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
Why? Well, we believe it's lies. And it's like, oh, okay. So I think what the movie wants us to believe is it's like the entity is so good at convincing you that, of a truth. And to be fair, there is an argument where AI will tell people to commit suicide and they'll do it, and it will tell people to do horrible things to their body, and they'll do it, and all this sort of things. So I think there is a message there that mirrors a reality that we live in, where there's a computer telling you to do these things and you believe it, and it's wrong and you're doing wrong by it. But the movie doesn't, again, you're having to pull from a reality that we already are in that dark universe. You don't, but you're pulling us into it in the movie, and the movie never shows you. It never gives you anything to back that up, other than just like the reality that we live in. And I think there's another failing there, where you're like, in the first movie, Gabriel was like hooked up. He had it in his ear and his eye. You know, he was all completely commanded by this presence. And that felt like a limiting factor to what it could do, because it was feeding him all the information, and it is written and all this sort of stuff. But all the other people that are getting the information are on nuclear submarines under the ocean, not getting any Wi-Fi. You know, like, they've just decided that they have this modus operandi that they are like, launch nukes. That's gonna be good for the world. I just the logic is so far removed that I don't know if I'm just not missing something, or if the movie is saying like, well, the logic is so ingrained in their entity pilled brains that they just get it. They just are on a wavelength with the entity that we can't understand.
Yeah, and again, like I wonder too, like, was it just for us to fill in the details of what happened? Did it just not explain it well enough? Because I was wondering that same thing too, where it's like, yeah, it said these people were like, oh yeah, we want the bombs to drop, but also like, I'm sure there was more to it than that. I'm sure like, you know, the misinformation and stuff was leaking into social media so much that it's radicalizing people through that, or like, you know, the AI is contacting people and saying like, hey, either work for us or we're going to delete all your bank account information and like take your grandma off life support. Like, I'm sure all of that was there. And I guess I just
yes,
wanted...
but you've made that as a convincing argument to me, and I go, put that in the movie.
Put that in the movie, yeah.
Because I want to see somebody who is strung up, puppeteered in that way.
Yeah.
In the movie. I understand that I'm supposed to connect those points and be like, okay, well, these people are, you know, they're not being told that it's going to launch all the nukes. They're being told that they're going to live in a utopia. They just don't know that the utopia means South Africa, an arc emerges from South Africa, and a, you know, sentient technocratic race comes out of it. Like
Techno Moses
with his freaking light sticks and shit. I see. I like exactly what you had said, is like, there is a terrifying reality where it's like, you know, scammers being like, oh yeah, give us $20,000 so we turn it into crypto in a gas station so we can send it to, you know, the FBI or whatever. And it's like, yeah, that's clearly happening, but none of that is shown in the movie. That's just reality.
Yeah, and, you know, put it in the movie, because that's what I think would have made this radical faction much more believable. It would have made them more scary, because, again, without a physical entity...
Personal.
If everybody together said, hey, we're just going to shut off the internet for, you know, 2 months, and then nobody's going to work for this thing, and nobody's going to launch any nukes because they don't have any gas, cool, it can't do anything. Now we're going to rebuild the internet from scratch. We're going to build a new one, a better one. Like, oh, situation resolved. And Ethan doesn't have to go to the bottom of the ocean.
God, speaking of the bottom of the ocean, though, what I think...
Dude, he went to the bottom of the ocean.
That core sequence is so well done. I almost was like, oh, well, yeah, show me an hour of the pre-roll shit. I don't care. He goes in a fucking decommissioned, exploded nuclear submarine, and it rolls around on the bottom of the ocean for God knows how long, and he's dinking around in there and ripping off his clothes, and he's shredded at fucking 65.
Yeah.
Crazy sequence. It's very, very well done. It's very believable that he's like in these incredibly intense, pressurized, you know, all these sort of things location. Is so cool.
Here we are talking about misinformation and bad information being put out. If they came out tomorrow and said, yep, we took Tom Cruise 500 feet down into the set that was a decommissioned submarine, we had him roll around, I'd be like, Yeah, I believe it. It looked good.
It looked really good. It did
Yeah.
look CG. It did, it did have that
There
like
were
tinge
times.
to it. But
Yeah.
god damn, that's a really really fun sequence. And the shots where the camera is angled and you see the water at like a
Oh,
45 to it
yes.
and it starts rolling and you see the water rolling with it and Tom Cruise
Dude,
just rolling around in that was peak sequence there. It rules.
when they did the Inception hallway and had the camera locked while the whole thing is rotating and the water's going one way and he's like trying to brace himself up the other way. Yeah, that was such good cinema. Oh man.
Fuck.
The other thing I love too was like, the submarine starts plummeting down into the depths of the ocean. He's trying to get out as fast as possible. He's leaving it. And then as he's leaving that torpedo tube, the water's rushing by him and you can see the water like affecting his skin and rippling on his skin as you would like expect. And I was like, that looks so good. Again, this looks so good. I'm believing that he's at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah. That was that sequence alone. You're like 5 stars. It's like
Yeah.
it's so like we could shit talk the sort of bad writing in that, but that sequence they wrote the movie for the 500 feet sub ocean sequence. It's so good. They wrote the whole Dead Reckoning previous movie for that sequence. It's so good.
Dude,
It is
they
such
wrote
a good sequence.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna save that for my little spiel at the end, but
Keep it.
no,
keep it.
Again, and then while we're on the topic of stunts, we got to hit the double biplane because the double biplane
We can.
was
That's the thing. I'm trying to see. It's they go to his team's on the island. They do the thing. They meet the guy from the first movie and his wife, and they have a party and it goes up in flames and all that sort of stuff. And then they do that, and then they're in South Africa
yeah,
with the planes.
with the planes, which was very funny that Gabriel, the bad guy, is like, I'm going to get out of here. And the only way that I know how to, a very analog, fast method, it's 2 biplanes.
2.
It was
Count 'em.
It was like, yeah, there's a biplane for me and not for you, Tom Cruise. And Tom Cruise is like, no, that biplane's for me. It made me think of Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 where they do the Chekhov's gun show with the guns and all the tools that they have for like security, where it was obvious that the bad guy was just like, yeah, there's 2 biplanes, count them, 2. There's one of me, but there's 2 biplanes, and you're like, oh yeah, Tom Cruise is going for that biplane.
And it's like he had a second guy. To be fair,
yeah.
there was a second guy.
But yeah, and then obviously they end up, bad guy takes off in one biplane, and then Tom Cruise ends up in the second one.
That sequence again, you make a movie for 2 sequences and they're some of the best stunt CG mix, when you can blend the reality at 500 feet or 500 feet up or down, like the low altitude, but like going in the rivers of South Africa and stuff. Beautiful location, incredible visual like symmetry of the planes with like the red and the yellow, and just being able to so clearly like spot stuff, and just having that sequence, and it's all on this like lush foresty like plain river. It's such a feast for the eyes, and it builds this great visual geometry of it. It finally, to me, as opposed to like the first 35 minutes where it's visually jarring and information isn't given, this is finally like a sequence that you can tell is like so planned and so mathematical with the execution of it, that there's no other way that it could be for it to look this way, and it's just so effortless.
Dude, yeah, cinematically they did it so right. Like having those biplanes be one bright red and then the other bright yellow was genius, because you don't have to think at all, hey, which one is he in? You see the big yellow biplane, you're like, oh, he's in that one. Oh, now he's on that one. Like, that's how it should be. And like, I don't know who made that decision. That was probably a Tom Cruise decision, but that was great.
Well, they're
And
both Tom Cruise's planes. The producer.
yeah. And I think in conjunction to the stunt that they had planned for, Dead Reckoning, the first one, where it was all building up for that, motorbike jump off the mountain. Like, again, they did both these movies where they're like, we need one big stunt, and the whole movie's going to lead up to that one big stunt, and here it is. It's this thing. I think the biplane thing worked so much better, not because it was a cooler stunt, but because it was shot much better. And I'm going to point out, in Dead Reckoning, the two things that really set me off about that stunt were the motorbike is gray and black, and he's wearing gray and black, and the whole scenery is gray and black. Yeah. And so when he's taken off on the mountain, I went to go see that one in theater, and I was even just like, yeah, he just kind of blends in. Like, I want, like, boom, he is wearing, I don't know, a rainbow tracksuit, and you can obviously tell it's him.
And I want, shoots rocket fire out.
Yeah. And I want 3 GoPros attached to this freaking motorcycle, so I get a back view, a front view, and a side view from it. And I want all of them on all screens all the time, because I'm demanding, and that's how I want my movies. But like, I wanted better coverage, and this did that so much better, where there was the first shot where he's underneath the biplane and they're going through the canyon, and the way that the camera came swooping in tracked the first biplane, and then tracked that they're going through the canyon, and then tracked the second one. It was like, cool, that sets this up perfectly. I know exactly what's happening. I know exactly what the stakes are. This is fantastic. And then to go with that too, I know there was parts where things were digitally comp. I know that there was things that were, comped out. There obviously had to be somebody flying the plane. Oh, I hate to break it to you guys. I got to be the guy breaking the movie magic. Don't kill me, Tom Cruise.
He's right behind you.
It was done so well that I didn't even think about it in the moment. I was like, oh God, Tom Cruise has to fly that thing with his foot, because if he doesn't, he's going to die.
Well, I like that they showed it too. They're like, hey, he's doing that.
He's using his foot. And, to look at Dead Reckoning, I'm sorry, like, I get that they had to build a ramp to go off the mountain to get him enough clearance, and then they had to digitally comp a mountain over it. But like, I just remember seeing that on screen and remembering like the digital comp on that ramp wasn't super great. Like the way it meshed in with the rest of the mountain kind of looked off. And also, like, I've spent enough time in the mountains where you see a peak like that and you're like, that's not a real thing. Like, that's mountains don't just jut up like that.
There's a little thing
randomly.
called erosion.
Yeah. And so like, that was another thing where I was like, I know that they're hiding something there. I know it. I don't want to know it, but I can't unsee it. And this biplane scene did such a good job of like hiding all the movie magic, hiding the wires. They had times where the biplane is rolling upside down. Tom is in 0G as this thing's rolling around him, and he's trying to desperately hold on. And you're like, oh my God, hold on, Tom Cruise. You're going to go flying off this thing. Like, it was good. It was so good.
It was the most, that's the thing, is you get the swings of the adrenaline fueled submarine rolling at the bottom of the ocean. Tense sequence. He could explode. They show you previously him failing in like a possible reality of this, where like, dunk, you hit a missile, it explodes the whole thing. And you're like, well, that could happen. And then you're in the room and you're like, oh, there's these missiles are going, they're in a washing machine at this point. And then you're up in the airplanes, shit's breaking. The red plane's crashing into Tom Cruise's plane like 3 times, running him over. And I'm like, I'm believing it. It's effective cinematography, it's effective effects where they are seamless. It's a really really well sold just sequence of shots of VFX, of the blending of the stunts with a reality, and it's all so well done. It's like, well, no wonder this is like the thing you see in the trailer, because this is unmatched.
Plus, I think with that too. So in Dead Reckoning, when they do the motorbike jump, they shot it from so far away, obviously because they had to, but they shot it from so far away that you're like, okay, they say that that's Tom Cruise, but I can barely tell that that's him. That, you know, that could have been anybody doing that jump, and the fact that he did it didn't really add anything to it. And when they did the little parachute stunt at the end of it, when the train's falling apart and he does the barrel roll out of the plane or out of the train, and then, you know, his parachute catches, that was great. But also that was another thing where it was like, the fact that Tom Cruise did that didn't really add anything to the movie.
Yeah.
But when you look at the way that this was shot, it reminded me of the way that Ghost Protocol starts, where he's on the edge of the AC-130 and it starts taking off and he's holding onto it.
Yeah.
And you can
it's a
clearly
shot
see
of Tom Cruise doing the thing.
Yes, and he's holding on to it as this plane's taking off, and you can see that the plane's taking off, and you're like, oh my God. And that's what makes that so sold in my mind, is like, that was him doing that stunt. That needed to be him doing that stunt because I saw him doing that. And then same with this one. It was so well done to like track, hey, you are looking at him climb from this plane to this plane. And you needed to see him doing that to believe him doing that.
It's such the perfect angle to see the transfer to, where you're just like, oh, like, I don't care what effect they did to pull that off. It's incredible. It's so good to see him. Terrifying, just horrifying to look at that. And he's like, it's just like grabbing for shit, and you're like, oh my God, he could die.
Like, his whole methodology for why he wants to be doing these stunts is that he wants to keep you in the action and keep you immersed in, like, this is me doing this. You don't need to wonder, hey, where did they hide the stuntman? Hey, where did the stuntman come in? Where did the stuntman do this? This is me doing this. And this stunt with that AC-131 sold it so well that it's like, this is continual. Even though I know that there's, cuts in there and there's takes, it's still him doing this to this to this, and it helps my immersion and keeping me in it that much more.
Yeah. I remember there was the other film, I think it's the Henry Cavill one, where they jump out of the plane, they like are halo dropping in.
Yep.
And the stunt of it is they did the jump, but then the movie veils it with the storm.
The storm, yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, this was a cool stunt, but now it's a VFX suckfest. Yeah. And so it's like, I've lost the continuity of why it's a cool stunt, because we're dealing with this whole other aspect of why it's like trying to be cool. Where I think just watching him do the halo jump and like it be clear that he's doing it, because he did do it. I know it's like he had the guy, they had that doesn't matter. You comp those guys out. It's still an incredible stunt. But when you make it, and like you're saying with the Dead Reckoning one, where it's like, it's black on gray. It's him in like a full gear of a suit. It's like when you're veiling so much stuff that you can't even really see the magnificence of these. It's Tom Cruise, the Hollywood Tom Cruise. He's the guy. When you see the Tom Cruise clearly doing something related to these stunts that are selling the reality of this movie, then you're like, I'm in it. I'm back in it. I was never, I wasn't out of these stunts ever. That's the thing, is these sequences are fully locked in, fully like seasoned veterans of the trade worked on these to sell them as the reality. It's like the whole thing where the AI is trying to sell you a fake reality. It's like the movie's trying to sell you this fake reality, and it succeeds. It's an incredible set of sequences, both, you know, the planes especially, because it's like there's so many clear visual aids, and the clarity of everything is so crisp, and it's beautiful. It is just a
Yeah.
beautiful sequence that is so clear. Opposed to the submarine, you're like, well, this is fully faked in some way, but because they still sell it in a very, like, the tight space with the cuts of the outside make those tight spaces feel real, because he's still doing insane stunts in there with the rolling and everything. But yeah, the planes are just a next level. And the whole movie is building to the tension of, you know, a countdown of world-ending fate. It's just, I love that sequence so much.
Yeah. Yeah. As with, like they did in other ones where, you know, you're like, okay, the tension's been up here the whole time. And, oh, now we're at the end of the movie. And now the tension's up here the whole time. This one, I think, delivered just as well as pretty much all of the other ones where it was just like, oh, cool. The stakes were already at 10 and now they're 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, the plane's on fire, 15, 16. Like, you know, crazy.
Yeah.
So ultimately, what do you think? Do you think people should go? Well, I guess they don't have to go see this anymore. But
it is out on
think people should
digital
see this?
streaming and all right, we're doing a final yes,
reckoning.
Final reckoning of the go see, watch or not watch. I will say for Mission Impossible, is it Final Reckoning?
Yes.
Final Reckoning, Dead Reckoning, aka Dead Reckoning Part 2. For me, I am going to say it is ultimately a watch for me. I know that we could spend an hour plus talking about the, you know, things that irked us about this film, and the writing, as spotty as it is, doesn't get a pass. There are quite a few problems with this movie that I think it could benefit from, you know, a director's cut of some sort that maybe fixes something. I don't need it to be longer. I need it to be differently arranged. But the submarine and the whole basically second half of the movie that you get to watch after the nonsensical lead up is peak Mission Impossible. It is crazy to see Tom Cruise at his age still doing it in bigger and crazier ways than ever had existed before. The stunts are so good. It's like you just get to see the master at work, and he's not going to be doing it that much longer. He's in a movie about digging holes later. I don't know what's going on there, but
with Shia LaBeouf.
Dig it up on Dig It, coming out 2027. But yeah, it's a watch for me. I'll take the lumps. I'll take it with the lumps. This was an incredible experience. I wish I had seen it in theaters, because I would have been upset for 35 minutes, and then I would have had a joy and a blast. How about you, Aaron?
You know, it was very close to being a not watch, honestly. It like, even sitting here as we're discussing it, I'm like, man, I almost want to say not watch on this one. But really thinking about that airplane scene, like, you gotta watch it. And I'm not telling you to go watch just the airplane scene. I'm telling you to watch this whole movie to get the joy of the airplane scene. You know, like we were talking about last week, where you can't just watch the last Evangelion movie to get the joy of the last Evangelion movie. You got to watch all of them.
Yeah.
This is the same thing. Was the writing bad? Yes. Were there plot holes? Yes. Were the villains believable? No. Were there so many things that I would have changed? Yes. And was this, if this truly is the last Mission Impossible movie. Is this how I want the Mission Impossible franchise to go out? Absolutely not. But for this being another arrow in the quiver of Tom Cruise, and for this being another thing on his resume where he, as a, I'm going to say artist, he is an artist, took time to learn new things to add to his trade and his skills and his technique to make movies better. Because this man truly loves movies. And like, you love to see the passion.
Where's his
that he puts into
Criterion
these.
Closet video?
Yeah.
Get Tom in there.
Yeah, put him in there, because he was doing a whole bunch of love to movies that we kept pointing out things like, oh, he's going to launch into this next. He wasn't actually, but it just seemed like he was going to. But he is such an artist in the way that he makes movies, and it's such a joy to see how he, as a producer, director, writer, all these things, wants to make quality movies. And this one does ultimately pay off at the end with that airplane scene. Where you gotta see that, but you do also have to see the rest of it. Don't get me wrong, the submarine part is also phenomenal, and you gotta watch that part too. And there's a fight scene that precedes that right before, where he is just going ham on this dude. And again, like, you can see some of the visual ramping up when he's hitting the guy, because he's doing it a little bit slower. But there's also a couple times where he's doing some rolls over things, and you're like, the dude is 65.
Yes,
and that's
when he
impressive
does
for somebody
that, like,
half his age.
backflip thing on the floor is crazy.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh man. And he did another one where he had the guy in an armbar and then rolled around that, and I was just like, I've seen
That
dudes half his age not even be able to do that. Yeah. And so you got to go see this guy put just a 100% of his ass into this movie, because he does not do things half-assed. He never has. Go look at Top Gun Maverick, and then go look at any of the other Mission Impossible movies. Rogue Nation, where he's driving a motorcycle at 120 miles an hour down a freeway, or Ghost Protocol, where he's climbing the Burj Khalifa. Like, good.
Yeah.
So, yes, this movie's not perfect at all. There's so many things I want to change about it. I want to do not even a director's cut, but like an us cut, where we just kind of like fix some things.
Our little dark universe.
Yeah, we're just in the back kind of doing voiceovers where we're like, there's one intern who's just like, hey, what if we just dump all the gas out of the rockets? And then the president's like, no, that won't work. Something. I don't know. I want to fix it. There's a fantastic movie here. But still, go see this. Get blown away by the airplanes. If this comes back to theaters for whatever reason, Tom Cruise make it happen. Go see it in theaters. Movies aren't dead. I'm going to repeat what Tom Cruise says all the time. Go see movies. Movies in theaters are how movies should be seen. David Lynch said, don't watch a movie on your phone. He's absolutely right about that.
Yes. David's 100% on that one.
Yeah. Don't watch a movie on your phone. Don't watch Twin Peaks on your phone.
Definitely don't watch Twin Peaks on your phone. There's so many little details you'll miss.
Yeah. But watch Twin Peaks.
It's funny that you started with like a so close to a not watch. I'm like, I'm just going to leave that out because it's clear.
Yeah. I don't know though. I want to I want to emphasize how close this movie was to a not watch. If the airplane scene, because even with that submarine scene and the fight, like if that airplane scene did not hit the way that it did, this movie would have been a not watch.
Oh yeah.
But that airplane scene wrenched this back from
that's the thing
depths.
Is I could tell that it was a watch for both of us when we watched that airplane scene, because we were viscerally reacting. We were like, no, Tom Cruise. Like we were we were feeling the wind from the planes. And when a film can transport you to the location of these crazy stunts and aileron rolls and barrel rolls and stalls at 500 feet and everything, and you're transported there and you're scared. I'm gripping the seat. I'm terrified. That's the movie. When none of the other parts of the movie get you there, and then something grabs you, and it's just like, we're fucking here now, motherfucker. Then there's the movie. You found it.
I had a 4D experience in my living room. I don't know how it happened. I was smelling things.
Somebody
I
opened a
was
window
feeling the
and suddenly I
wind.
was like, yeah, I was so, if I had my camera on when you would have seen me being like, whoa, like I was like on a roller coaster. It was an incredible experience. And it's like, not every film, and especially like a Mission Impossible film can pull that off, but it's like this one does it. This one 100% sells the illusion. You get an experience that is unforgettable. It's such a cool thing. It's why I'm telling people to watch, because I'm like, that sequence is crazy. Oh my god, stick a fan in front of your face when you're watching that and you'll just have an out of this world experience.
And again, don't watch just the airplane scene. You're gonna do yourself a disservice.
Well, you have to sit through the shit. You have to work your way out of the trenches, and then you're like, ugh, okay, all right, are we out of? And then you go 500 feet underwater, and then you're in. That's the thing, is there is a cadence to the film that leads to the plane sequence. You can't just watch that. Would be a major disservice.
You need the pressure that is built from, they have moments before things will go catastrophically wrong. You have to get that tension, but you only get that tension from, unfortunately, some very bad writing that leads up to it.
Yes. I and that's the thing. There's never a switch. There's never a switch that goes like, oh, it's good writing now. I'm just saying that. It just doesn't happen. The movie just corrects itself. It just figures it out. I don't know what happened, but it just involves 2 biplanes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's going to do it, Aaron. We have a consensus.
That was our final reckoning.
We've
done it.
Is that what we do for consensus?
Oh, yeah. Consensus mode.
Is that what this was? It wasn't a consensus mode?
I believe.
Enter a mode of consensus?
And we're in consensus mode until the next time we watch a movie, and where we
This podcast makes no sense.
If this is your first episode, hey, it's just more of this, so keep listening.
We got more in store next month. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.